I was earning rupee 35,000 a month, and I had a rupee 14 lakh loan hanging over my head. Sounds like a bad movie plot, right? But it was real. My life. I had just started my first proper job, felt proud, for a steady income, a visiting card, and dreams bigger than my paycheck. But I also had an education loan. Rupee 14 lakh. That was more than 3 years of my salary. And suddenly, that sense of freedom, gone. Every month I'd pay my ME. Every month I'd feel broke again on the 5th. Some friends were upgrading their phones. I was figuring out how to stretch 10 liters of milk for the month. But I'm glad I went through that phase because it taught me things that no school, no degree, no mentor ever did. Let me share the 10 things I learned in case you're walking this road right now or ever find yourself there to one. Your salary is not your wealth expanded. When I got my first paycheck, I felt rich. Rupee 35,000 credited to my account. It was the most money I'd ever had in one place. I remember staring at the SMS notification like it was a badge of honor. I could finally afford things without asking my parents. I could walk into a restaurant and not feel guilty about the bill. For a moment, I felt I had arrived. But that feeling faded faster than I expected. Rent, groceries, internet, commute, one dinner out. And suddenly, I was left with almost nothing. It hit me. Having a salary didn't mean I was financially secure. It just meant I had access to money for a limited time. The real question was, what was I doing with that money? Most of us confuse salary with wealth, but they're completely different things. Salary is a stream. It comes in every month and goes out just as fast if you're not careful. Wealth, on the other hand, is a reservoir. It's what remains after the spending, the taxes, the impulse purchases. It's what grows when you save, invest, and use money intentionally. We often celebrate income. He's earning 20 lakhs per year, but we rarely ask the follow-up. How much is he keeping? I've seen people earning 1 lakh a month and living paycheck to paycheck. I've also met people earning rupee 40,000 and quietly building wealth, little by little. The difference is mindset, not income. If your lifestyle grows at the same pace as your salary, you'll never build wealth. The moment you get a raise, your expenses rise. A better phone, fancier clothes, costlier outings. Suddenly, you're still broke, just at a higher level. This cycle traps so many people. They look rich but feel poor. And the world doesn't help. Social media constantly reminds you of what you don't have. You see people vacationing in Bali, buying iPhones, upgrading cars, and you feel left behind. So you start spending to keep up. But here's the truth. Real wealth is quiet. It's not flashy. And most people flaunting success are often just spending, not saving. Once I realized this, I started shifting my focus. I stopped measuring success by how much I earned each month. Instead, I looked at how much I saved, how much I invested, and how much peace of mind I had. That's when things started changing. Not instantly, but slowly and sustainably. Your salary is just the fuel. Wealth is the destination. And unless you're conscious about the journey, you'll keep driving in circles, thinking you're making progress when you're just burning fuel. Too. Loans aren't evil. Lack of a plan is expanded. The word loan used to scare me. I grew up hearing things like, never take a loan or a debt will ruin your life. And honestly, it made sense when I was younger. The idea of owing money to someone felt heavy, almost shameful. But when I graduated and faced a rupee 14 lakh education loan, I didn't have the luxury of running from it. It wasn't optional, it was real. And it was my responsibility. In the beginning, I panicked. I'd look at my ME amount and wonder if I'd ever be able to save anything. I thought I had failed before even starting my life. Every month, the bank reminded me that my freedom had a price tag. It's easy to fall into guilt and frustration when you carry that kind of burden, especially when your salary is nowhere close to your liabilities. But slowly, I realized something powerful. The loan wasn't the problem. My mindset was, a loan is just a tool. It's neutral. What matters is how you use it and how you plan around it. If you take a loan for education that opens doors to better opportunities, or for a home you've calculated carefully, it's an investment, not a trap. But if you take on debt to impress people, to buy what you can't afford, or to match someone else's lifestyle, that's when it becomes poison. What got me out of that negative spiral wasn't more money. It was a plan. I sat down one evening, pulled out a notebook and listed every rupee I owed. Then I broke it down. How much was the ME? How long would it take to repay? How much extra I could squeeze in each month? I made a Google sheet, tracked every payment, and adjusted my lifestyle around it. I stopped reacting to the debt emotionally and started responding logically. And something shifted. I stopped fearing the loan. I started treating it like a monthly bill, like rent or electricity. Just another number in my spreadsheet. Once you remove the emotion from debt, it loses its power over you. It doesn't define you anymore. You don't walk around feeling guilty. You walk around knowing you're in control. Most people don't fall into trouble because they took a loan. They struggle because they didn't think about the loan beyond the approval letter. They didn't ask, what's my repayment strategy? What's the worst case scenario? And can I pay it off faster? Can I increase my income? Instead, they hope things will somehow work out. But hope isn't a strategy. When you take responsibility for your debt and you have a clear repayment path, no matter how slow, you regain your peace of mind. That sense of control, even if you're not debt-free yet, is incredibly empowering. You start to trust yourself. You know you're showing up every month without excuses. So no, loans aren't evil. In fact, for many of us, they're the bridge between where we are and where we want to be. But if you step onto that bridge without a map, you might get lost. The loan won't ruin you. The absence of a plan might. 3. Budgeting is not boring. It's freedom. I used to think budgeting was for accountants and people who loved Excel sheets. I imagined rows and columns, numbers everywhere, and hours spent trying to track every little expense, and it just felt exhausting. I'll just try to spend less, I told myself. That should work. But of course it didn't. I reached the end of the month with rupee 500 in my account and no clue where the rest of the money went. Then one day, after missing a payment deadline and having to borrow rupee 2,000 from a friend just to get by, I decided to try something new. I opened a blank spreadsheet, listed my income at the top, and started writing down every expected expense. Rent, groceries, phone bill, ME, transport, even things like snacks and subscriptions. For the first time, I could see exactly where my money was supposed to go. And more importantly, where it shouldn't. That first budget changed my life. Not because I suddenly became rich or saved a fortune. I didn't. But because for the first time I felt in control. There was a strange peace in knowing, this is how much I can spend on food this week. This is what I've already allocated for entertainment. I wasn't guessing anymore. I wasn't panicking. Every time I swiped my card, I had a plan. Budgeting isn't about restriction. It's about intention. When you don't have a budget, every rupee you spend feels random. You're reacting to your expenses instead of preparing for them. But when you do have a budget, you're not saying a no to spending. You're saying yes to the right things. You're giving your money a purpose and yourself the clarity to follow through. People often think budgeting means cutting out fun or living like a monk. But that's not true at all. A good budget includes joy. I had a separate column just for guilt-free spending. A small but important amount I could use on whatever made me happy. A book, a coffee, a short trip. The goal was never to suffer. It was to be conscious. And here's the thing. Once I started budgeting, I started discovering patterns in my behavior. I realized I was spending rupee 1,800 a month on food delivery. I found out I was subscribed to 3 different streaming platforms, 2 of which I barely used. Those small leaks add up. And once I saw them clearly, it wasn't hard to patch them. In fact, the real reason people avoid budgeting is not because it's boring. It's because it forces you to confront your own habits. It holds up a mirror to your financial choices. That can be uncomfortable at first. But it's also empowering because when you know what's going wrong, you can start fixing it. So budgeting isn't about sacrificing your lifestyle. It's about designing it. When you know where every rupee is going, you're not controlled by money. You're in control of it. And that, I've learned, is what freedom looks like. 4. Stop comparing your day 1 to someone else's day 100 expanded. It's almost impossible not to compare. You open Instagram and someone just got promoted. Another friend is driving a new car. Someone else is vacationing in Europe, sipping wine in Tuscany. And there you are, sitting in a shared apartment, eating leftover Dell, wondering where you went wrong. I've been there. That quiet moment when your heart sinks, not because you hate their success, but because you feel stuck in your own journey. We don't even realize how early we are in our own stories. I was just starting my job, trying to manage a rupee 14 lakh loan on a rupee 35,000 salary. Some of my batchmates were earning twice as much, living in better cities, working in shinier offices. I began questioning everything, my choices, my capabilities, even my worth. But what I failed to see then was this. I was comparing my first chapter to someone else's 10th. That's never fair. Everyone's timeline is different. Some people get a head start. Maybe they had more resources, better networks, or simply different circumstances. Others take time to figure themselves out, and that's okay too. Success is not a race with a finish line. It's a journey with unpredictable turns. And the worst thing you can do is rush your pace just to match someone else's. What really helped me was focusing on my own progress. On progress. I started tracking where I was 6 months ago. Financially, emotionally, professionally. Instead of looking sideways, I looked backward and forward. That small shift changed everything. I stopped asking, why am I not there yet? And started asking, am I moving forward from where I was? That question brought peace and progress. The truth is, comparison will rob you of joy faster than failure ever will. When you keep comparing, you stop appreciating what you have. Your wins, your growth, your resilience. You forget that just managing your rent, your bills, and your sanity in a new city on a tight budget is already a success. You're showing up every day. And that counts. Most of the time, we compare our behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. You see the promotion, but not the 60-hour weeks. You see the new car, but not the Emmy. You see the happiness, but not the anxiety behind it. Social media has made it easy to share success, but very few people share the struggle that got them there. So what you're comparing against might not even be real. It's hard, I know. Especially when you feel like you're trying so hard and the world is moving faster than you. But growth is not always visible. Sometimes it's silent, learning to cook your own meals, resisting that impulse buy, or just surviving another tough month without giving up. That's progress too, even if no one claps for it. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, they're so far ahead of me, pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, you're not behind, you're just getting started, and you're right on time for your story.5. Make peace with saying a no expanded. When I first started earning, I wanted to say yes to everything. Dinner plans, weekend trips, birthday gifts, office outings. Every invitation felt like a sign that I belonged, that I was living the life I had worked so hard to earn. After all, wasn't that the point of making money? To enjoy it, to not feel left out. So I kept saying yes, even when my bank balance was silently begging me not to. I was terrified of missing out, of being the one who always says no, of losing friends, of seeming boring or broke. I'd swipe my card, smile at the dinner table, and then spend the rest of the night wondering how I'd make it to the end of the month. One night I opened my budgeting sheet and realized something brutal. I had spent more on social outings than on groceries that month. And worse, I didn't even enjoy half of those outings. That was the wake-up call. I wasn't saying yes because I wanted to. I was saying yes because I didn't know how to say no. That's when I realized saying yes all the time is just another way of avoiding discomfort. But discomfort is part of growth. Learning to say no wasn't easy. At first, I felt guilty, like I was letting people down. I imagined friends whispering, "He never comes out anymore," or "He's so stingy." But none of that actually happened. The truth is, people are too busy worrying about their own lives to obsess over your choices. And the ones who truly care, they get it. They respect your boundaries. They don't need explanations. Saying no isn't rejection. It's protection. You're protecting your peace, your goals, your long-term plans. Every time I said no to a spontaneous dinner, I was saying yes to making my Emmy on time. Every time I skipped a weekend trip, I was saying yes to reducing my debt. And over time, that discipline became pride, not shame. The surprising thing, saying no gave me clarity. It helped me see who truly valued my company and who just wanted me to be a part of their spending habits. I started spending time with people who were okay with low-cost hangouts, chai at home, or walks instead of dinners. The friendships became deeper, not because of what we spent, but because of how we showed up. Eventually, saying no stopped feeling like a sacrifice. it started feeling like self-respect. I realized that my time, energy, and money were limited. And every yes I gave to something meaningless was a no I was giving to something that actually mattered to me. The balance started to shift. And once I made peace with that, with the idea that I didn't have to say yes to everything to be liked or accepted, I started living more honestly, more intentionally. My life simplified, but it also became more aligned. Because the truth is, not every opportunity is worth the cost, especially if the cost is your peace of mind.